here, and then let it wood up around that.
Okay, would they like grow it around like a rock or something and then eventually move it off of
Yeah, or I mean, it could have been a trunk that they could have cut into and then calloused the wounds and slowly split it open, like with a wedge. Or it could have been a multi-trunk stem originally, and then they just fused, like this could be a fusion here, where they basically grafted it together.
Okay.
Lots of different ways to, you know, get the same type of style in both
Fusions are
sides.
so cool.
Yeah, to be able to, yeah. The fact that the wood will grow together is just so cool. Yeah, so this is variegated Rhapis excelsa, lady palm. I mean, I love seeing things like this. They should be grown like this in a clump, basically. I think is the best presentation. Rhapis excelsa is actually a really interesting palm because it's highly and very widely cultivated in the world, but the original location that it was native to has been lost to science because we somehow eradicated all of the natural populations hundreds of years ago, and so everyone has it in every garden center, every, you know, cheesecake factory, like wherever there's Rhapis, but we don't know where they ever really came from because there's no longer any wild populations. They think it's somewhere in China, but there's nothing left in the wild. So variegated form. These plants here, so this and right there, this is Euphorbia geroldii. It's known as thornless crown of thorns. I love this one. It just gets super gangly, and there's nothing sharp about it, and it still gets the same flowers as your typical crown of thorns. So, very nice euphorbias. If you don't know, I love euphorbias. Let me just say it. So when we sell it, we sell really, really juvenile leaves that don't have the chance to get their true, awesome, mature form yet. So this is kind of a perfect example of what a skeleton key should look like. So missing the whole rest of the leaf and then just super long like this. And then you'll even see fenestrations on this one.
The little tiny. That's what yeah. Looks like a stingray.
I mean, so this is so cool. Yeah, look at this one with 2 fenestrations. Maturation isn't about time, it's about conditions. So really the easiest way to get a plant to mature is to give it something to climb on. A plant wants to feel stable and safe in an environment before it climbs 15 feet up. It wants to, quote unquote, know that if it climbs the 15 feet, what it's climbing on isn't going to fall over or get ripped down. So in order to produce, I mean, some philodendrons will mature and get giant, giant, giant leaves. They want to know that if they're 15 feet up and put out a 6-foot leaf, that the pole or tree that they're on isn't going to fall over and they're going to lose all that work. So stability really is like the #1 key to getting something to mature. Which you can see, I mean, look at how attached it is to the posts here.
Outside in Central Florida?
It may have some residual cold damage, like being stunted or not growing as fast, but yeah, it could generally Epipremnum are pretty hardy. This is a licuala palm. Licuala are amazing. Just the pleated fan leaves, they get huge. Super, super tropical look, and they actually can grow pretty well as indoor houseplants. You just need bright light. So, this philodendron here, the plant that Gabriella used to sell as green Philly is actually Philodendron heteroecium variety oxycardium, which sometimes in the trade is sold as Philodendron cordatum. Cordatum, which the species Epiphytic cordatum comes from a leaf having a cordate or heart-shaped leaf, is actually a wrong name for the plant that we correctly sell as Philodendron heteroecium. Philodendron cordatum is not that plant with the small leaves that we sell. The real, actual Philodendron cordatum is this giant philodendron behind me. So it does have a juvenile stage that does have smaller heart-shaped leaves, but as you can see, this plant here, mature, is nothing compared to what we sell. Even if those leaves were to get mature, it's nothing like this. And I will admit, I didn't know what this plant was for years, and then I had stumbled upon one of my friends had one and sent me a picture, and I was like, wait, I've seen that somewhere. Now I know what that is. I was like, next time I'm there, I need to tell people about it. So, absolutely amazing. These, excuse me, Zizi. If you can see, these red dots here along the midrib and also on the petiole, these are extra floral nectaries. So extra floral nectaries are an evolutionary adaptation that kind of predates flowers. So the plant will excrete a sticky, sugary liquid in an attempt to have ants or beetles come, feed on that, and then hopefully at the time that they are feeding, they then will also stop by, visit the inflorescence, and pollinate it. Because philodendron inflorescence aren't big, showy, they don't have a lot of conventional methods of attracting pollinators other than heat for a couple hours at night. And so not all philodendrons have extra floral nectaries, but if you see red dots on a philodendron, most likely that's what it is. And it's not excreting anything now, but if they are, it is safe to eat, and usually it's a good sugar boost, and most of them taste really good. If you look up here, you can see a regular species, Epiphytic pinnatum, and if you look all the way up there, you can see those leaves are probably close to 3 feet, probably 20 fenestrations on each side. I mean, those leaves are huge.
It's huge. It's huge. It's huge.
You can see how it originally started all the way down there, grew up. Some of the trunks even aren't attached to the tree anymore. I mean,
Jesus. Oh yeah, so those are just hanging there still.
yep. And then these are all aerial roots that have grown down since then.
Wow.
Ooh, what a nice smell.
Yeah.
Really, it's a subtle smell.
Okay, so I have everyone's attention. I want to bring back, I know we saw some bird's nest ferns in there. So this, I mean, can we just appreciate the size of this Asplenium nidus, this bird's nest fern? So normally they are epiphytic, and so they would be up in the treetops, not in the ground. This one is planted here though, and it loves it, it's fine. You can see inside a perfect example of how they naturally work as a mechanism is being a bird's nest shape. What will happen is on the inside they will trap all different leaf litter, and as it breaks down and turns into detritus, it will leach nutrients back into the plant. And so it's caught all of these leaves, and I mean, it's so big and it's been here so long, there are actually even baby palm seeds that have started germinating inside this. And so you have to think that there's no fertilizer, there's no one going around putting granular fertilizer up in the trees in the Amazon rainforest. So when they're up there, they need to be able to get nutrients somehow, and so this is this fern's mechanism of how they've been able to do that. Really cool. This is, Juliana pointed this out, so we sell, and we're going to continue to increase the number of different epiphytic jungle cacti that we sell. This is a Ripsalis, and so you can see it started up here, probably as just one piece or even potentially as a seed, in this Aglomorpha fern, and it rooted, it grew, and then it now just hangs and cascades out. It probably has no real soil in here, it's just living within the root zone of this fern and whatever leaf litter it catches. Ripsalis, this Ripsalis in particular is dichotomously branched, so it'll start with one and then splits and then continues to split and split and split like a dichotomous key. And so that's how basically it starts with just a couple and then gets wider and thicker and thicker. So pretty. And non-toxic for any pet lovers. We have an Australian tree fern here. Tree ferns are amazing. So they don't actually get any sort of trunk like a regular tree. It's actually just their stem has grown through time, so it doesn't get any thicker like a hardwood tree would. But it is still amazing how they can get super, super tall and still support themselves. So pretty. I don't recommend touching it. Usually the fuzz can cause your skin to break out.
Brett, what are these with these crazy?
Yeah, so this is, this I want to say is a Pyrosia. It's a fern, and so this is the Epiphytic canatum actually even has an old inflorescence on it, probably opened a couple days ago. Up here. You can still see all the pollen being released. That's crazy.
So how many days would that survive for, Brett?
Well, even though the pollen's being released, it doesn't mean it's viable anymore.
Okay.
Usually it's a 24 to 48 hour window. So even though the inflorescence itself may persist for weeks, it's not actually, sexually active anymore. And then within a couple weeks, it'll slowly die back and fall off. Or if it got pollinated, as we know, it'll swell and then berries will form. It is a ficus. I do not know what species. I'm sorry.
Seriously.
Really small stand out to me. A lot of ficus, when they get big like this, they're known as strangler figs or banyan trees, and they develop these cropped roots that basically will grow down, as you can see, and then they'll start like that, and then as they touch the ground, they'll get thicker and thicker and thicker. So all of this here wasn't, this is actually all root, even though it looks like trunk, and it, so cool here. Ficus macrophylla, native to just the eastern coast of Australia. They develop these insane crop roots that will come down from the tree. The idea is that if they were growing in really coastal or sandy soils, they do this for support, so that as the tree gets massive, they now have all these other roots, supports down on the ground, so that if the soil or something was to shift, they have a better grasp on the ground.
Okay, we can take a group photo.
Obligatory mutualistic relationship with a fig wasp. So in order for the figs to be pollinated, they can only be pollinated if a wasp lays its egg inside of it. And as they go inside, they do the pollination. So any ficus that is outside of its natural native range can't be pollinated. So like we have a bunch of Ficus deltoideae in the greenhouse that are covered in berries right now, but they don't have any seeds in them because they're not pollinated because we don't have the specific wasp in the greenhouse.
I just saw
This is nothing compared to the size or thickness that they actually can get. They get this really unique rainbow look because different layers of bark will actually peel off, and so what you're seeing is every color is a different layer of bark, and so as it peels inconsistently, it reveals the different layers. So like you can even see here how this is starting to peel and give way. And then as it grows and develops, more and more layers will peel, and the vibrancy and range of colors in the rainbow eucalyptus will widen. You're asking me if I am gonna have my own conservatory one day, and I have 2 of these, so let's just say I will need some room, so.